This is America's farmland. Some call them food basket of America across this country. There's so much of it because of this, the old tractor. We've seen them sitting around everywhere of all types. The humble beginnings of an old mule and a plow. What hard work. Up to the very start of the old steam tractors in the late 1800s, up to the modern tractor of today. Oh, they could do some work nowadays compared to the old tractors and the old mule. And I get the privilege of sometimes meeting some really interesting little stories. Here's a collection. I met a guy that had a collection of old tractors. Most like old Fords, old John Deeres, but he liked the old Massey Fergusons. And I'd met him earlier in a different video telling his stories, his incredible stories that he told me. But he liked to collect these old Massey Ferguson tractors. You might have seen it earlier. His video, I'll leave a link at the end of the video of this one. But he had so many old tractors I thought I'd share with you. So I'll just let him tell his story of these tractors, their age, and the story behind them. Oh, is this a tractor you use all the time?
It is. It's a 1956 Ferguson F40. It was manufactured at the same time as the Massey Ferguson 50 and the Massey Harris 50 by the company called Massey Ferguson. Massey Harris out of Canada and Harry Ferguson Limited out of Ireland had gotten together to start creating a line of tractors, and this is the last one badged as a Ferguson. After this one, they were all Massey Ferguson or Massey Harris. This is a Ferguson 40. They made about 5,000 of them. Of this series with 2 tires in front, they only made about 200 of them. I've got 5.
Well, how'd you come about all these tractors?
Starting probably 30 years ago, I would see them on eBay or at a tractor show, and I'd ask them, you want to sell it? They would say, sure. I've probably spent $1,500 on this one. It's unique in the sense that it's set up to carry a cultivator. That's what this is for. And that's what this is for. It's a row crop tractor. Those tires were put between the rows of corn.
Well, did you have to rebuild anything on it when you got it, or just start using it?
No, the person I bought it from had done some work on it, so now I don't have to do much to it. Over time, I'll probably have to replace the exhaust system. You can see it's rusted. Right now it's a little weak in the hydraulics, so I'll have to pull the top off of it and replace the hydraulics. But that's normal.
Well, it's a nice old tractor, buddy. You just like collecting them, don't you?
I like to use them.
Yeah.
My grandparents were farmers, and one of the tractors I have inside the shop is a tractor I grew up with, what I learned to drive on.
Yeah. Well, your grandparents, they used mules, didn't they, out there?
My grandfather used a mule as a boy. When his father gave him a farm as a boy, after he got married, he bought his first tractor like 1929. And my grandmother told me she heard my great-grandfather say to his son, I don't know why you want to buy a thing like that. I taught you how to use a mule. And I got a picture of my great-grandfather at the age of 95 behind a mule turning up potatoes. But my grandfather was a modern farmer, and he made deals with the neighboring farms, and he farmed their property too. And when he retired at 95, he was farming 180 acres around him, plus his own.
With mules?
No, with tractors like this.
Oh, okay. You come from a long line of farmers then, don't you?
Yeah. My great-great-grandfather was a farmer up in St. Louis. And my great-grandfather had accumulated around 500 acres with a quarry on it and lots of orchards. And he had 6 sons and 5 daughters.
Yeah.
And they all worked hard and made a big farm and passed on a legacy.
If these old things still run?
This one should.
Far up, baby. Sounds good. Well, Paul, what kind of tractor is this one?
This is one of Harry Ferguson's early tractors. It's called a TEA-20. It's a small utility tractor that was manufactured in Ireland, was shipped into Canada, and then they imported them into the United States.
What year was that?
This would be 1939.
Huh.
It has
Still runs?
a standard engine. Yes, it does.
Hmm.
It's about 20 horsepower. The Fergusons that were manufactured in the United States used a Continental engine. This is one of the earliest.
Old collectors, ain't they? You don't see them no more, do you?
Not so many. Well, being imported, you weren't going to see quite as many.
Yeah. Well, Paul, here's an old Ford.
Yeah, this is like a 1939 Ford 2M. Harry Ferguson and Henry Ford got together to manufacture a utility tractor, and this is one of the first ones. It was built in 1939. That's why they called it a 9M. The next one after this looks very similar to it. It's called a 2M. They were produced in 1942. This is a Ford designed engine. It was built in a Ford factory, but Harry Ferguson and his design teams were the one who actually manufactured them. This is about a 20 horsepower engine, very similar to the TEA-20. They were about $750 at the time you bought them.
Yeah.
They came with a crank in the front.
Crank them off.
Yep. They were a 6-volt system, and it wasn't always easy to start them with the starter, but you can put a crank in it, turn that crank, and get them to start.
Well, this one's a old Massey Ferguson. What's this one, Paul?
This is the Ferguson 40 also, but it was converted to use propane. Back in the 70s, when it was gas prices were high out in Texas and Oklahoma, where propane was easy to get, they converted a bunch of them. Now, one of the interesting things about this tractor is there's a date on this tag.
Yeah.
And it indicates 1956, the same year that this tractor was built. And it's entirely possible that This was converted either in the factory or just outside the factory, because the tank is dated in the same year as the tractor was built.
Yeah, that is an old collector. You just don't see propane tractors, do you?
No. Massey Harrison, Massey Ferguson developed the same tractor under the title 50, and they did put propane on them. So there is some indication that they did some of the 40s with the propane, but there's none that are listed as having been released to the public. This one I found in Oklahoma.
Oh, this one run?
Yeah.
Nice old tractors, buddy. All right, what you got over here, Paul? You got a bunch of them over here.
These two right here are diesel tractors. They're Ferguson's. This is a Ferguson 35. It's got a standard diesel in it. I took the pump out for repairs. This one up here is called a TEF, which basically stands for diesel. So it's a Ferguson tractor, 1943, with a standard diesel engine in it.
Well, you got a bunch of them running through there, don't you?
That one there is about another 1939 9N. That one over there is called a TE20. It's a Ferguson tractor, but has a Continental engine in it instead of having the standard engine in it.
What's the difference?
Well, standard engine was made in Ireland.
Yeah.
And put in Ferguson tractors.
Okay.
The Continental engines are made here.
U.S.
And Continental engines were put into boats. They were put into cranes. They were used for a lot of things, and Harry Ferguson contracted with Continental to provide him with engines. Ford made his own engines, so they were put in the Fords. That one right there is a TE20. It's a Ferguson tractor with a Continental engine in it.
Ireland engine.
The Continental is the U.S.
U.S. engine.
US
Standards
engine.
of
The standard
Ireland.
is the Irish engine.
A lot of old tractors here, buddy.
I wish I could to work on them all day, every day.
Yeah, I bet you do. You love them, don't you?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah, I know,
Spend enough
buddy.
time with them. It's Ferguson system.
Yeah, another old Ford.
Ferguson is the one who invented the 3-point hitch that's on the back of all of these tractors and on the back of all modern tractors. He invented that. That's why I call him the father of modern agriculture.
All the attachments, quick hookup, ain't they?
Yes, they are.
Nice old tractors. So you got a couple more over there, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, there's the one on the right-hand side is an F40. It's called a high crop. Sits up much higher. The one on the left was one I got out of North Carolina that's got 24-inch tires on it instead of 28-inch tires on it. It's one of the options available.
Now, along with the old tractors, he's acquired over time all the old implements that hooked up to these tractors, worked these fields, plows, saws, all kinds of stuff. This is just a few of them I'm showing you. How many hours do these things work the earth? Old collectors. And they still work. the old things of these tractors. Old cultivator. And he has so many old tractors. This is just a collection. But he has a workshop too, I'll show you. Tractors everywhere, ain't you, buddy?
Yeah.
And this is an old Ferguson too that you use.
It's a Ferguson 40. As you can see, I've got a tiller on it. I use this one quite a bit.
He's working on one down here, breakdown.
This is a friend of mine. He had burned his tractor, so I'm restoring some of it for him.
Is it a Massey Ferguson also?
This is a Ferguson 30, about a 1952. This is the kind of tractor I learned how to drive on.
So you're having rebuild transmission on it?
Yeah.
Is it hard to get parts for these things now?
No.
Still get them pretty good?
They made 500,000 of these. They're still out. People are still using them.
Yeah, they're still all good tractors. You take care of these old ones. They're built to last, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything was made heavy.
Nice old tractors, Paul.
And I've got 4 more in the next building over.
Paul, looks like you got your own parts department here too.
Yeah, a lot of tools, a lot of collecting.
Do a lot of work here, don't you?
We got a lot to do.
What you got sitting in here to be worked on?
Well, this is a friend's 8N. Behind me here is my grandfather's 8N. And behind that is my grandfather's Ferguson TO30. I learned how to drive as a boy on the TO30. This had belonged to my Uncle Ted after my grandfather died, and I bought it from him.
Well, when did Massey Ferguson start making tractors?
Well, Massey Ferguson started first as Harry Ferguson Limited, after he and Henry Ford had gotten together and then separated. Along around 1939, Harry Ferguson was manufacturing his own tractors in Ireland. And after he broke up with Henry Ford in about 1949, he started creating the TO20, which is a 20 horsepower tractor that looked very similar to these, and they were in direct competition with it.
Mm-hmm.
After the 20 was the 30, which is what's back here behind me that I learned how to drive on. And then after the 30 was the 35. The 30 designates the approximate horsepower of the engine. After the 35 was the 40. Well, at the time he was manufacturing the 35, Harry Ferguson was getting older and he decided that he needed to retire. So he sold out his interest in Harry Ferguson Limited to Massey Harris out of Canada. That company started out then as Massey Harris Ferguson, and after 1960, that became Massey Ferguson.
Well, do they still make Massey Fergusons today?
Massey Fergusons are made today.
But they ain't nothing like the old ones, are they? No.
Well, they're more complicated, they're
Yeah.
more powerful.
More electronic and stuff on them.
These were all very simple mechanical machines.
Yeah, able to fix out in the field when they break down.
Yes.
You
You
can't
can
do
fix
that.
them with baling wire.
Yeah, you can't do that today, can you?
You can barely get them fixed at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these were, the early tractors were designed for even a little farmer to be able to afford one. You're talking about the time frame around World War II and after World War II.
Yeah.
There was a need to expand agriculture, And Harry Ferguson and others realized that the big farmers weren't going to be able to feed, that if you wanted to get more food into people's hands, you had to expand agriculture. Well, these small utility tractors made it possible for one man, instead of cultivating 1 acre, he could now do 10 acres. So they were able to increase the amount of food production in the United States and the rest of the world by putting a small tractor in the hands of individuals, small farmers.
Well, that sure cut down on the mules, didn't it?
It sure did.
Sounds good. Well, there you go. I'd like to thank Paul for sharing these old Massey Ferguson's machines with us. The story behind some of them. There's some nice old machines that built this country, farmed the land. And there's a lot of different brands out there. This is an old John Deere. So I want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. God bless, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.